you gave up a TV job to start a podcast in your basement, if that doesn't scream midlife crisis, I don't know what does.
It was Championship Sunday here in Indianapolis. What's the mindset then coming in as a defending champion?
I want to win. No, I want to win.
The young lady over my shoulder, Caitlin Clark.
Not the best looking guy. And I don't think anyone's going to sit here and say, Matt Randazzo was really good looking.
What has this last month, 2 months, 3 months been like for you? It's an important fan base for the Fighting Illini, is it not?
It is.
He turned 69 years young last week. He looked good, Coach.
Oh, try it. Thank you.
Welcome to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo here on a Wednesday in the Quad Cities. Wednesday, February 11th. Thank you guys so much for joining us wherever you are and however you are watching the show. We greatly appreciate it. It is Wednesday. It is Hump Day. We are nearing the halfway point of the work week and a 3-day weekend, I think, for some coming up. President's Day is Monday. So I know my kids have Monday off. They get like a half day on Friday. Go to school. My kids are never at school, I don't think. Plus, one's homesick today. So anyways, enough about me. Thank you for watching. If you're watching us on YouTube, thank you for that. We appreciate that. Make sure you're interactive with the chat. We always appreciate that as well. Getting close to 1,500 subscribers. So if you have subscribed, thank you. If you have not subscribed, please do so ASAP and tell some friends about what we're doing each and every weekday at 10 o'clock. Right here in the Quad Cities. Also, we're live on X. X has been very good to us as well. X was funky yesterday at the beginning. I think we're good today. So make sure you're interactive with us on X as well. A poll question will be coming up. Monday's poll question, plenty of people was talking about. So we'll see if we can get some people talking again here this morning as well. You can also check out the show on all of the podcasting platforms, whether it's Spotify, iHeart, Podbean, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts. Go ahead and put in Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. Subscribe there and listen to the show each and every day. You don't have to look at me. You can listen to the show as well. Also, welcome to our viewers in Central Iowa. You can watch us every single night at 7 p.m. on the WHO streaming app. We've had some great feedback from that. So thank you guys for watching. If you're watching on the streaming app on WHO as well, we appreciate that very, very much. It's been a busy week. On Monday, we had Pat Anger, Tyler Tashman talking about the Iowa basketball team, and John Marks. Yesterday, Kyle Huseman, Ked Prince, plenty with Ked on the Illini, and that was before last night's game and a loss to Wisconsin. And then Galesburg head coach Lexi DeMott. Of course, I covered her when she was at Galesburg as Lexi Daniels, doing a great job in her second year, taking over for Evan Massey. The Silver Streaks ranked second in the state. They're 25-3. Great conversation with her. So if you missed that, if you're a high school basketball fan, a girls high school basketball fan, a Western Big Six fan, go check that out from yesterday's show as well. A lot to get to on today's show. It's Wednesday. We've got Jake Brend, and he might be a little cranky. It was not a good night for Iowa State last night. We'll talk about that in a second. Neither the men nor women could get victories. So Jake Brend coming up right around the corner. Also coming up in hour number 1, my good friend, my old friend Julian Vandervelde will join us. I want to get Julian's thoughts on a lot of things when it comes to football related, Iowa offensive line, Iowans in the NFL, or Hawkeyes in the NFL, all those kind of things we're going to talk about. But Julian and I are starting a new segment on the show in the very near future that enjoys one of our passions that's not sports. I'll leave it at that. You got to watch. Really excited about doing this. So Julian Vandervelde, always entertaining, always charismatic, coming up a little bit later on here in hour number 1. In hour number 2, we're going to go to the high school level. A lot of great teams in 3A, like especially from the eastern side of the state. We know one of them is up in Maquoketa. The Cardinals, really good this season. Another one is down in Mediapolis. The Bulldogs are undefeated, 21-0. Todd Borrison, coach. He's like in year 33 or 34 coaching girls basketball. State championships at Preston, 2 of them. Had one at Assumption. now doing great things, of course, at Mediapolis. We're going to catch up with him, talk about the Bulldogs this year, also girls basketball, high school wise, big picture. Great conversation coming up with Todd Borrison. That's coming up in hour number 2 of the show. So much to get to. Another busy Wednesday. Thank you guys so much for watching. Get locked in. We'll get you caught up on some headlines before we get to our guests today. And I think I want to start, of course, with some college basketball. A crazy night of college basketball with Illinois and Iowa State both losing. The Illini losing at home to Wisconsin, 92-90 in overtime. They did not have Andrej Stojakovic. He was out for this game. Kylan Boswell still out. But Illinois has been having a ton of success despite losing Boswell. And while Stojakovic is extremely important, it was still a game I thought Illinois would win. And they were up 12 late. And they missed free throws. They didn't play well late. They gave up that lead. Wisconsin forces overtime, and Wisconsin comes away with another signature victory. You look at Wisconsin in this league, and we're always talking about Michigan, Illinois, Nebraska, Michigan State, Purdue, rightfully so. Wisconsin's now suddenly, they went to Michigan and won. They went to Illinois and won. They've got some really signature victories. I think they're 9-4 in the league now. So hats off to Wisconsin. I know if you're an Iowa fan, you look at their schedule coming up and you're like, man, Nebraska twice, Purdue, Michigan, they got to go to Wisconsin. That might be one of the sneakiest, hardest games, if sneakiest, hardest is a thing. But it's a really hard game coming up on the Iowa schedule. So Illinois loses, second straight loss. I believe Wisconsin played well. Illinois didn't play well down the stretch. They stubbed themselves several times, missed free throws, all of those kind of things. And I sat here yesterday with Ken Prince, and we talked about officiating. And I thought the Michigan State game was really bad. And I thought the officials probably cost Illinois the game at Michigan State. I didn't come away from last night's game thinking that. I came away thinking Illinois had a 12-point lead late in the second half. They blew it. They missed free throws. They didn't play well. You can talk about injuries and not having two guys. Referees, there were bad calls. There were bad calls both ways. That's college basketball. But I really respect the heck out of Brad Underwood. This is his thoughts on the officiating after the game last night against Wisconsin.
Being officiated differently. How do you guide Keaton through that?
I have no idea. We sent 12 in the other day from Michigan State. We'll send the missed out-of-bounds play in the first play of the overtime. That's egregious, right? I mean, it's egregious. We will definitely send in the 10-second call that happens. I mean, he's 5 feet from getting across half court, and there's 10-second call. And we got guys that miss that, and they're making I mean, it's just, I don't know. I don't know what to do with it. I don't know. I'm done talking to people. I don't get called. I'm done. I'm frustrated as heck. I'm very frustrated. And because it changes so much from game to game. We had a guy tonight we haven't had in 2 years. 2 years. Do a league game in 2 years.
So as you can tell, Brad Underwood not happy with the officiating, and we talked about it yesterday. So I can't sit here and complain a little bit yesterday and then say there's nothing. The calls he mentioned are 1,000% correct. I think if you're Wisconsin, you could probably grab some that weren't advantageous for them as well. So I didn't come out of that game, and I only watched second half and overtime. Didn't watch first half. So I maybe got to go back and watch again. But I didn't put that as the reason Illinois lost. But I understand his frustration when it comes to you're watching games. I thought Iowa Northwestern on Sunday, and I'm rooting for the Hawks. I thought Northwestern, there were several times they barely touched Iowa and there was fouls. So I get the frustration and officials overall. I'll just say this. If I'm ranking the reasons why Illinois lost yesterday, referees not at the top for me. I think they missed free throws. They didn't play well. Injuries. and then you can talk about some officiating as well. So those are my thoughts on Illinois. They now get back on the road, or they stay at home, I should say. They'll look to snap a 2-game losing streak against Indiana, I believe, on Sunday. So I know there's some people on social media, Illinois can't win the Big Ten now. The Big Ten's over, all that kind of stuff. I'm going to put that up as a poll question. Can the Illini still win the Big Ten? We'll give a couple different results, like yes, maybe, depending on how things break. Absolutely not. They're done. Those kind of things. So we'll put that up as a poll question. You can go to Twitter, X, whatever you call it, and weigh in on that. The other big upset that involves our area both ways when it comes to both teams, TCU knocking off Iowa State, 62-55, the final score, down in Texas. Brock Harding, of course, former Moline standout state champion, former Hawkeye that transferred down to TCU. 27 minutes, didn't do great when it comes to stats. Not one of his better games, but played well enough for TCU to win. Brock didn't score. I think he had 4 assists. And you look at that TCU team, we'll talk about them in a second. Iowa State, they were back on track. They were winning games, and now they got a really tough stretch. They just didn't play well. I thought it was one of those things where they didn't play well. They didn't play well on the stretch. They got down 8 and then rallied and took a 2 or 3 point lead with like 3 to go. They got outscored 12-0 to end the game. And so for TCU, when you look at that, and if you're a Brock Harding fan, which I am, and you like TCU because of Brock, they've got 15 wins now. They've got signature victories when it comes to a victory over Iowa State and Florida and Wisconsin, I believe. They've got a nice resume that if you look there and say they're at 15, if they can get to 19 or 20, they should be in the NCAA tournament. More work to be done, obviously, but that's a big victory for TCU and Brock Harding if they're hoping to get in the NCAA tournament. Brock has not played an NCAA tournament 2 seasons at Iowa, so we'll see what happens coming up the rest of the way for TCU. We'll talk with Jake Brend about the Cyclones coming up in just a few moments. High school basketball-wise, it was kind of rivalry night last night. It was Bettendorf beating PV when it comes to boys basketball in a close game, 59-58, I believe this final score was. Bettendorf now leads the MAC with a 13-2 record with, I believe, 3 games left to play. Muscatine 1 game back, others right there as well. And then over at the Panther Den, it sounds like a great game, an interesting game. The first quarter featured 4 technicals, I believe. It was Rock Island coming back and then holding off UT 68-63. So Rock Island kind of controls their own destiny along with Moline. If they both win out, they'll both tie for the Western Mix 6. They both beat each other once. So a big game, a big victory for Rock Island again. We're going to talk a bunch of high school basketball with Nesto Hoops coming up tomorrow on the show. Really excited about that. Postseason right around the corner. There's not too many people in the entire state that knows more about high school basketball than Nesto Hoops. We're going to go ahead and check that out, chat with him. That's coming up tomorrow right here on Off the Air. Really, really excited to do that as well. Last but not least, the Bears stadium stuff, where they're going to be, where they're going to play, all those kind of things. And Iowa now trying to propose a bill that helps attract an NFL team. The Bears aren't coming to Iowa. Stay away. Stay over there as a Lions fan. I don't need you in my area. Enough idiots in this area that like the Bears. I don't need that. So they're not coming to Iowa. I think that's the most obvious thing that there is. And not saying that Iowa doesn't deserve a professional team either. That's a different debate, different subject, but Bears aren't going to move to Iowa. I don't think they're going to move to Indiana. I think they'll figure out a way to get it done in Arlington Heights or whatever it is, suburb-wise, and play there. But all right, there's my Bears talk for the day. Let's get to the basketball upsets. And when it comes to Jake Brend, he's going to talk to us about Iowa State, obviously, but we got to talk about basketball in general because it's such a great time of year. So let's get to a very familiar face here on OTA. So let's talk about a not so great Tuesday night for the Cyclones on the basketball courts with our good friend Jake Brend. I wanted to have a fun Wednesday with you. we did talk a few weeks ago about TCU, and it might have been the tougher of that stretch that was winnable. I don't know. And then the women have been playing so good. So anyways, first and foremost, hi, how are you? How was your Super Bowl? All that kind of stuff.
I mean, bad. The game sucked. Tonight, Tuesday night sucked. But other than that, the play was fine.
Yeah.
Like I'm Mrs. Lincoln.
Exactly. I feel like, well, and that'll do it. Thanks for joining us, Jake. We'll talk to you later. I don't know. We talked about TCU and they lose 62-55. Iowa State does down at TCU. Of course, local interest here in the Quad Cities. Brock Harding, although didn't do a lot statistically, 27 minutes, didn't score, I think 4 assists, something along those lines. But a nice win for Brock and TCU for Quad Cityans. But for Iowa State, what I took away from it was they just didn't play that great. They didn't look good.
No.
Your thoughts?
Yeah, they didn't look good at all. It was a weird first half where they played okay, built up a 9-point lead. TCU really got themselves back in the game quick with a run, and then it was a game pretty much from that point on. TCU got up 8, looked like the game was over. Iowa State got back to doing what they do. They were moving the ball, they were creating turnovers, took the lead, took a 5-point lead, and thought, yeah, Iowa State, you get 1 or 2 more buckets, you're going to walk out of here with a win on a game where you played horrible. And then they go scoreless the last 2:30 of the game. TCU ends it on a 12-0 run, and Iowa State picks up a head-scratching loss down in Fort Worth.
You mentioned head-scratching loss, and I mean, I agree. It's not going to be a good loss. But I think if you're TCU, you're starting to get to that point where I think that was win 15. You got a Florida victory, you got a Wisconsin victory, I think. You're now at Iowa State. I think your resume, if you can, win 4 more games down the stretch, get to 19, 20 victories in that league, you're going to be in. So not a horrible loss for Iowa State, but one that with what's coming up, and we know what Valentine's Day is about, and then everything after, one, you don't want to go into that stretch with a loss. I think maybe what compounds the loss is what's to come for Iowa State. Am I wrong?
Yeah, no kidding. It's a massive stretch coming up. Kansas Saturday, Houston Monday, at BYU the next 3. Doesn't get much more tough than that. And you would have really liked to have this win under your belt heading into that game. But now, at least if you want to put the goggles on, now you got some motivation heading into that game, and you've got a lot of tape showing what you did wrong. And if Iowa State plays the way they did Tuesday night, on Saturday, or on Monday, or in Provo, they'll lose each and every one of those games by 20. There's no doubt in my mind, regardless of the building it's in, Iowa State's got to play better. And for whatever reason, they did not play to that level against TCU on Tuesday, and that's a problem heading into a vital stretch.
You talked about the ebbs and flows of that game, and you mentioned TCU gets up 8 and they look good. Iowa State comes back, they grab a lead, and then 12-0 in the last 2 minutes. With a team like that has the experience, that has the playmakers, that has so many different. What was it about those last 2.5 minutes that didn't click for Iowa State? Because you felt like they took TCU's best punch when they got up 8 and they got the lead back. I was surprised that TCU had something left. Your thoughts on maybe the last 2:30 of the game?
Yeah, I think Iowa State had a problem at the 5 spot tonight between Blake Buchanan and Dominicus Plata. Those guys didn't have it for whatever reason. And when Iowa State made that run, it was right when they switched to small ball. They threw Jefferson at the 5. That's what opened up the offense. But TJ Altenberger has been pretty adamant since the summer that the reason he doesn't want to go to the small ball 5 that often is because of how much it taxes Joshua Jefferson. And I think that fatigue was probably the biggest factor down the stretch where they were cutting nonstop. They were moving without the ball. Jefferson was wheeling and dealing. And that's how Iowa State got the lead back. And then they stopped doing that. They played iso ball. They stood there, waited for something to happen, and nothing happened. And that's Iowa State's not going to be anywhere near their potential if they're not moving the ball And Tuesday night was a perfect example of that.
Jake Brend joining me right now on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo from the CycloneFanatic. You look at it, Jake, and sometimes, and you hate losses, but they are eye-opening. They do get attention. They do get teams to refocus. No, I hate the term. There's a good loss, but it is a loss that could maybe focus them heading into, talk about two great environments. You're set for Saturday welcoming Kansas just off of beating Arizona. And Kansas is coming off that victory. And then you host number 3, Houston, in the span of 72 hours? Something like that. I know you have to get back at
48.
it quickly. Yeah, 48. Jeez. I think the environments are going to be great. Your thoughts are you a proponent of or a believer in, that could focus Iowa State up to get it out of your system? I think they're going to play well the next 2 games. I don't know if they win both of them, but at Hilton, I think they're going to play well.
Yeah, I have no way to know what's going to happen this weekend, let alone on Monday.
Yeah.
But the spot for Saturday sets up about as well as possible when you're just looking at it from a psychological standpoint. The team you're playing has won 8 games in a row. They just beat the number 1 team in the country. They're flying high. You're coming off of a loss.
They're due to lose, Jake.
You're coming off of a loss, going to be pissed off. The fans are going to be pissed off. Like that, from a spot that sets up well. Now, the execution, everything else is a different story. You've got to play better. But from a pure spot perspective, it's in a weird way similar to what got Kansas and their winning streak started a month back when they were coming off of a loss at West Virginia. And they held a players-only meeting the day of that game and went out and played their best basketball of the season and have since really figured it out. Iowa State's going to be in a similar spot where they're coming off of a bad loss and they're going to be in front of a raucous atmosphere. And it's a big game. It's a big game Saturday. 2 big games this weekend.
Not only are you my Cyclone expert, you're one of my college basketball experts. You're welcome for the nice words.
Thank you.
It's crazy these days. Am I wrong that, if I said 12 teams could win the national championship? I know you love Arizona. I get that. And they're probably that different, maybe, although they lost this week. Am
Arizona,
I crazy?
Michigan, probably.
And then, but are there 12 teams they can win? If I told you that Kansas wins the national championship, would you be shocked? If I told you Illinois won the national championship, would you be shocked?
No. I'd be shocked from a Kansas perspective if Darren Peterson played 6 straight games, but they beat number 1 Arizona without Darren Peterson tonight. So I might be a little shocked if you told me that either A, Peterson played all 6 games, or B, they won a national championship without him. But to your point, I agree. It wouldn't shock me whatsoever if Kansas, let me go down the list for KenPom. Michigan, Arizona, Duke, Houston, Florida, Illinois, Iowa State, UConn, Purdue, Michigan State, Kansas. That's 11. I'll probably stop there. But that's a lot of teams. That's a lot more teams than normal that can win the national championship in my eyes.
I think I realized the other night that as crappy as the Super Bowl was, I think March Madness might be really, really good. It might be one of the better ones in a while. Were you surprised by Arizona? I know you love them. I think you're not going to go undefeated, especially in the Big 12. It's not going to happen. I'm a due to lose type of guy. You don't want to lose twice. I think that's the problem with Illinois. Is Illinois was due to lose this past weekend going to Michigan State. You don't want to turn around and lose to Wisconsin like they did last night. But are you concerned at all with Arizona and those type of teams?
No, I picked Kansas to win that game. That building is different. That building is different when you can get Bill Self as an underdog. Kansas, they do not lose at home in that building, and they specifically don't lose at home in that building when Bill Self is an underdog. It hasn't happened. They also are now 40-0 on Big Monday under Bill Self. My concern level for Arizona is 0. A matter of fact, I would guess Tommy Lloyd is probably a little relieved. I don't think he'd ever admit that publicly, but I'd guess he's probably a little relieved that his team finally has a loss and he can see how they respond to it. Kansas played very well in a crazy atmosphere where there was a point where Flory Badunga had a and one dunk, but the entire team, both sides, started running back the other way because they didn't hear the whistle. That's how loud it was in that building. Nobody was beating Kansas Monday night.
Can I ask you, and you've been to everywhere, and I'll take Hilton out of the conversation for you. What's the best atmosphere you've been? Is it close? Is there anybody close to Kansas?
No.
What's the second best that you've been to?
I probably haven't been to enough to
Sure.
actually say.
I'm trying to think.
I'm going to find out. I'm going to find out this next month because I'm going to BYU and I'm going to Arizona. So that'll knock off 2 of the top 5 atmospheres in the Big 12, probably 2 of the top 10 to 15 in the country. But I can't imagine there's anything close to Kansas. It's so different there. From the fan engagement to how loud they play the music to how smart that fan base is, it's pretty unmatched.
When you look at and we're going to get to the women here in a second, but when you look at these, I won't talk to you again until two more huge games. I mean, talk about huge games, big Monday, and you got to take them one at a time. But should Iowa State fans be thrilled with a split?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I still think this team's good enough to expect to win both games at Hilton Coliseum. I don't think you can leave extremely disappointed with a split, but I don't think you can be satisfied with one either. It's somewhere in between where this team will expect to win those games. TJ Otzelberger expects to win those games. The fan base should expect to win those games. And I expect them to win both games. I expect a desperate Iowa State team that knows what they have to do if they want to reach their season goals.
I love, and you're right. I mean, I agree with everything except for this is a really good. They're not desperate. They're a top 5 team and the top 10 team in the country. I get what you're saying when it comes to regular season goals, but I think they think that way, and that's a beautiful thing. I do agree with. I think that and we'll move on to women. What's the easier of the 2 games?
I still think it's Kansas. I think you could make the argument right now that Houston is the best team in the country. I would still go with Arizona and Michigan above them, but it's Kelvin Sampson. His teams always get better over the course of the year, and they have gotten so much better over the course of this season, and they've added 2 5-star freshmen into the mix that are playing Houston basketball. That team is national championship good. That team has won at Allen Fieldhouse. That Houston has lost 5 games in the Big 12 since they joined the conference 3 years ago.
That's crazy.
It's an insane stat. So that's no doubt the tougher game. But Kansas already beat this Iowa State team by 20. So that's no slouch either. Both are really tough matchups, and both you're going to have to play really well to win them.
Let's make your Wednesday morning even worse. The Iowa State women lose last night. They lose to BYU, not a great BYU team, 83-69. When you felt like they were starting to turn things around, this is a step backward. Your thoughts, big picture, on Iowa State women last night?
Yeah, I guess to give myself half credit, I predicted a 1-1 swing on the Utah swing. I thought they'd lose to Utah, beat BYU. And honestly, I was going to be content with either of those results because they had been playing well and they had righted that ship. Didn't play great in Provo. It's tough going west. It's tough going west in any sport. We see that, especially that second game. I wouldn't panic too much about it other than just kind of felt like they were due for a loss. You lose 5 in a row and respond with 5 straight wins. Felt like that had to end at some point, and now they're going to return home in a similar spot to the men on Sunday with a heated rivalry game against K-State and an opportunity to pick up a marquee win.
Jesus, the Hilton Coliseum going to be rocking Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. I ask you this every week, and I don't know why I do, because it's not like you have like like that much inside information. I don't think Iowa State knows, but I know Bill Fenley mentioned this week that he's hopeful. I can't remember how he put it, whether hopeful or optimistic that Addie Brown would be back. Any update? Anything you're hearing? Is that the hope still? Is that she's official? I do this to you every week. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, nothing different than what Fenley said, that they're optimistic, and I would guess that it's probably looking to try and be back for postseason play. That probably means Big 12 tournament, but I don't know. I'm not in the training room. I'm not in those meetings with the doctors. So I'll leave it at Fenley's words of optimistic.
Jake Brend joining us right now and Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. Wednesday morning will be busy for you. You get, I believe, the offensive assistant coaches for the football team. What's going in there? What's the storyline? What are the things? What are the questions? What are the top couple questions that you're curious about as you get ready to chat with some coaches today?
Yeah, I think a lot of it's about roster management. We already talked to Jimmy Rogers a couple weeks ago, but Rogers had he had a big piece of paper of the roster because I'm sure he's still getting to know players' names, faces, and as much as he was involved in the recruiting process, it is the assistant coaches who are doing the brunt of the work from a one-on-one position group basis. So I'm just really interested to get the insight from those specific position coaches on the types of players they brought in, whether it's with Jake Thornton on the offensive line, Tyler Roll as the offensive coordinator. I'm just excited to get some FaceTime and see what they have to say.
Tyler Roll, former Detroit Lions coach. Can you give him my love? Can you tell him, thank you for being part of a great organization that is the Detroit Lions for me?
Oh yeah, I can absolutely do that. I'll see if I can get the scoop from him on Dan Campbell.
Tell us what CycloneFanatic's going to have when it comes to the interviews. I know that's coach. What is it? Assistant offensive today? Is it defensive tomorrow, or is it next week?
Defensive on Friday.
Okay.
So we'll have a mix of it. I'll post the full things on our Cyclone Fanatic YouTube channel, and I'm sure this is a bunch of stuff that I'll use over the coming weeks and maybe even coming months on various Cyclone Fanatic stories over on YouTube or CycloneFanatic.com. It won't be I'm not going to be doing a 45-minute report on Wednesday based off of this, if I had to guess, but you'll be able to watch the full interviews Wednesday afternoon.
And then, of course, coming up this weekend, obviously, Hilton Coliseum is the place to be. Saturday, Kansas. You love some Big Monday, Jake. You love some Big Monday. It doesn't get much better.
Best day of the week.
It's also President's Day, I believe. I don't know what that does for college kids. I know my kids are off school. That's the only reason I know anything about those holidays, because it's President's Day, so they're off. In fact, the Iowa women, I believe, play at 11 a.m. that day. It's a crazy early morning game. They did it last year with Ohio State. They're doing it with Nebraska. I think they play Nebraska, which is a good matchup coming up this year as well. All right, before I let you go, as of February 11th, give me your Final Four.
Oh, man. That's tough.
I already made you talk about 2 Iowa State losses, and now I'm going to ask you the impossible question. It's as of February 11th. I'm not going to bring this up and play it again until you get it right, and then I'll play it every time you come on the show. Give me your Final Four, February 11th.
Give me Arizona, Houston, Illinois, Iowa State. I'll still ride with Iowa State. I think they're gonna show a lot over this next stretch and show what they're capable of March. So my omission there is Michigan, which I believe Iowa State will be in their region come March. So that's my prediction on February 11th that has no shot to come back and bite me.
That Final Four makes me happy that I'm not in local news anymore.
Oh, no kidding.
Because it would have been Illinois and Iowa State, especially as now the Iowa guy. I'd be like, are you kidding me? No, it wouldn't be that bad. Do you think Iowa can make the Sweet 16? Is that crazy or no? It's matchup driven. I know that. But, like, how crazy would it be if Fran's first year gone, Ben came in and made the Sweet 16?
Yeah, it's absolutely possible, especially when you've got a player the caliber of Bennett Sturts. Guard play wins in March, and it'll all be matchup based. If they're like, you could tell me that they're going to be a 7 seed and their 2 seed is Gonzaga, and I'll feel better about their chances to make the Sweet 16 than if they were a 5 seed and their 4 seed was Florida. So
yeah.
it all does come down to matchups, but I absolutely think they're good enough. They've proven this year that they can take care of what they need to, but much like Iowa State, we'll learn a lot about Iowa with their upcoming stretch of Purdue and Michigan and Nebraska.
Oh gosh, it's good. And you know what? Wisconsin at Wisconsin. It comes
Wisconsin
too.
as well.
I mean, it's crazy. Ohio State at home is a tough game. I mean, it's not easy at all for Iowa or for Iowa State, which makes the rest of February absolutely fantastic. Jake, I appreciate it. Next time I talk to you, we'll have 2 massive home games to figure out and dissect. I can't wait to do it. Enjoy the weekend, my friend.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Dazzo.
Thanks, buddy. That is Jake Brend from the CycloneFanatic and Iowa Everywhere joining us right now, or just joining us to talk a little college basketball. Tough night for Iowa State, especially on a Tuesday night. You didn't expect it with the men, and a winnable game for the women, but it was a crazy night. You had Illinois losing at home. You never saw that coming. And then Iowa State losing down at TCU, just to say a few things, or a few games. So we got more to get to. Coming up after the break, we're going to be joined by a familiar face here in the Quad Cities when it comes to football around here and Iowa football as well. Our good friend Julian Vandervelde with a new segment we're getting ready to start in the next couple weeks. All that and much more straight ahead on OTA. All right, be honest. Are you craving Hungry Hobo again? You know, that fresh sliced meat piled high on those amazing sandwiches, hot off the grill chicken and steak with all those delicious toppings, the biggest and best selection of baked potatoes, or simply some waffle fries dipped in cheese. Well, now that Quad City favorite is even easier to get. Download the Hungry Hobo app today. Order ahead, skip the line, and earn rewards all at the same time. There's Double Points Monday and exclusive specials as well. With 12 locations in the Quad City area, it's Hungry Hobo. Now even easier to find, but still hard to resist.
Rafferty Funeral Home, dedicated to serving families in the Quad Cities since 2007.
Hi, welcome. Here, come on in.
An experienced staff plans each service to reflect the unique life and legacy of your loved one. Rafferty Funeral Home is proud to serve our community with dignity, respect, and compassion, helping you to celebrate your traditions and lasting memories no matter your faith, culture, or budget. Rafferty Funeral Home in Moline. Call today to discuss prearrangements.
When it comes to quality, convenient pizza, Godfather's Pizza in Silvis has you covered. Featuring a beautiful dine-in area, delivery, and a carry-out window. Godfather's Pizza is that pizza you grew up with, not a convenience store. You see, at Godfather's Pizza, the dough is made fresh daily. That mozzarella cheese is shredded fresh and never frozen. And those toppings are abundantly piled high each and every time. Locally owned and operated since 2010, Godfather's is a huge supporter of local athletes right here in the Quad Cities. So come on by and check them out at 1211 Avenue of the Cities in Silvis. Order online at godfathers.com and reunite with that same delicious pizza you grew up with. Welcome back to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo here on a Wednesday in the Quad Cities. Hopefully everyone is enjoying their hump day. During the Super Bowl, I started thinking, I'm eating because that's what I do during the Super Bowl. And I started thinking, like, back last year, I had a buddy of mine on and we talked about the best things to eat during the Super Bowl. And then I started thinking in my TV days, like, we used to have like fun Super Bowl shows. And my NFL buddies would come and be part of it. And I'm like, I haven't talked to this guy in too long. It's been too long. So Julian Vandervelde joins us right now and off the air with Matt Randazzo. How are you, my friend? Great to see you.
Hello. It is wonderful to see. It has been too long.
Yes.
Both digitally and in person. It's good to see your face and hear your voice.
It's funny because we used to be able to see each other more and do more. And we just chatted before we started this, like, we have too many kids and we're just chauffeurs now and all of those kind of things. And this sounds bad, Julian, but misery loves company. And it's not miserable. I don't mean it like that, but like you can relate and I can relate because our schedules are just driven by our kids sometimes.
Absolutely. I mean, between you, me, and Pat, we could field like an entire football team. So we're we all kind of have that chaotic lifestyle where it's just, you are dictated by what your children are doing, and but you wouldn't have it any other way because they're having their own experiences, and I get to coach my daughter's volleyball team, and and watch my boys do their stuff, and it's just fun. As our bodies break down and we get older, they're coming into their
Julian, my body broke down a long time ago. I don't know if my body was ever built. I don't know if that's but here's the other thing is I think so. You, me, and Pat procreated 10 times. We probably shouldn't have procreated at all, ever. Like it should have been a law. And now there's Vanderveldes and Randazzos and Angers taking over the world. Can I tell you something about coaching before we get going on what we're going to talk about? I got a technical in a 5th grade basketball game again this weekend. And the key word there, Julian, is again. It's my 2nd in 3 weeks. Is it me? Do you think it's me?
5th grade baskul?
It's 5th grade.
Like not even we're in elementary school still at 5th.
Yeah, it's 5th
grade.
Thank you, Julian, for explaining. Yes, thank you for making me feel. But like, I'll tell you about it. I talked about it on the show too much, so I'll tell you about it later on. It was a misunderstanding, and but still, it doesn't make me feel any better because, like, I'm the guy that got a technical foul in the 5th grade. Have you ever gotten yourself in trouble coaching volleyball or anything so far?
No, everybody loves me. But what I want to say, I will say, listen,
true.
What that means about you is that you're going to bat for those kids, all right? You are battling for them for every inch, and they will never forget that.
I never cursed, and I was a good boy. It was a misunderstanding. I'll tell you about it later, but yeah, something like that. That made me feel a lot better. Hey, before we talk about you and I have put our heads together and come up with something I'm really excited to do, and we're going to explain it here in a little bit. But before we get going, Iowa football, 9 victories. I thought 9-4, and yes, we can do the could have been this, could have been that. But I think it was one of Kirk Ferentz's best teams, maybe in the last 8 to 10 years. Your thoughts on this year's Iowa football team? I know the close calls were frustrating, but what do you take out of last season for Iowa football?
First of all, I agree with you 100%. You've got another Joe Moore award-winning offensive line. I mean, every single guy on that offensive line should be playing NFL football. At the end of the day, when their college careers are over. The most frustrating thing was just I do think we were probably an 11-win team. I think we were easily a playoff caliber team at the end of the season, right? It'd be nice if we could stop going and getting senior quarterbacks in the transfer portal that are coming off of injury and miss all of spring ball, and so then we don't get any chemistry with them until halfway through the season. But from an overall talent perspective, and from the work that the guys were putting in, from how close the team was, right? They never gave up. They never like when you're having those close losses, sometimes it can be very trying to say, when are we going to get over the hump? Well, they got over it in the bowl game and put Pavia and Vanderbilt in their place. So I think that, by the end of the season, you could absolutely argue that this was one of Kirk Ferentz's best teams. It just took us a little bit longer to get going. And sometimes, those last second games, you either find a way to win them or you find a way to lose them. And it's the difference between, a 9-4 season and an 11-2 season.
Julian, you mentioned the Joe Moore Award. I got to ask you as an offensive lineman, and you mentioned they're going to play at the next level. I believe that as well. You watch games differently than I do. You're an offensive lineman at heart, and what did you see from that group? And Iowa offensive lines are always good, but that's one of the better ones in the last, like I just said, 8 to 10 years probably. It got back to the being good to like being elite once again. What did you see? What was it about this line? Logan Jones, Jennings Dunker, Bo Steve, all those guys. What did you see from them as a unit and maybe as individuals as well?
A lot of it is just the mentality of it. I think that what's fun about this group is we've kind of seen them grow into it. And I think Coach Barnett has said that in interviews too, kind of, if I'm not mistaken, is these guys took their lumps when they were younger, right? They've been working up to this for a long time. We've gotten to see, I remember when Logan Jones was first, starting at center when he, moved over and came in, and those, like the first year I was a little bit nervous because like his snaps were all really high, they were high and hot ones. And I was like, ooh, those are the ones that if they go over a quarterback's head, they're 10 yards downfield, and then the defensive line's, picking them up around the other way. But there was a grittiness and an edge to him where you could see it like, oh, this guy's like, he's a Remington level guy, right? Like he's going to get there. And you look across that offensive line, and it was mentally they were a tough, gritty, hard-nosed group. Like they felt like they were gonna outwork people. They weren't finessing anybody. They were running through people. They were finishing plays down the field. They were physical. And that's, I think that's what you need to be a truly elite offensive line is it's a different mindset to go from I'm going to protect my quarterback and I'm going to open holes for my running back to I'm going to dominate the man across from me every single play and break his will. That is a different mindset, and I think this group had that.
No, I love that. We had Logan Jones on the show a couple weeks ago, and he was talking about that room. I'm like, what makes those guys? What about that room that makes it special? And at one point he just goes, I love those idiots. And I loved it because it was just like a big smile on his face. And he's like, I just love those idiots. Take us into that room because you probably love your idiots, if that made sense. What is it like in an offensive line room? And you just mentioned the mentality on the field. There's probably a mentality off the field as well when it comes to the brotherhood of 5 dudes lining up and smacking smacking helmets with people for 3 hours every Sunday or Saturday, excuse me.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely felt like the idiot in our room most of the time, but I think that there's a closeness of guys, and some of it is proximity to each other. If you get a group of guys who are a veteran group, right? It's a little bit different. I think if you have kind of a mix of freshmen and upperclassmen and stuff like that, and you might have some elite freshmen, but there's a mental difference, and there's the relationship, the time it takes. The fact that you have 5 guys who are punching as one fist, who have to work together in such unity, the communication element of it, the trust element of it. There's a lot that goes into an experienced offensive line who's been working together for a long time, and they know each other. You kind of get a feel for guys who probably go out to eat together, probably hang out off the field, right? Who spend extra time in the film room together. There's a difference there. You're not just there to do a job. You're there, for your brothers, for the guys next to you. It's a real difference maker. So it doesn't surprise me at all that those guys are very close.
Julian Vandervelde joining us right now on Off Day with Matt Randazzo. You here we are in 2026. It sounds crazy, and Kirk Ferentz is still going strong.
Yes,
and the people still. So like you lose the LeVar Woods, which stunk. We didn't love that, but like you didn't be like it was like okay, where are they going to go outside in the country to find? They just promoted within, and even when they add a new guy, it's Jay Norvell who's back from playing like and never got to Iowa City in forever because he's been coaching. Kirk, the familiarity. Can you speak to that? And as a former Hawkeye, and I don't want to age you, but are we going on 15 plus years since you put the pads on in Iowa City? That can't be, Julian.
I think this is 15. I think you're right.
That makes me feel awful. That makes me feel. So with that being said, how great is it that a decade and a half later, that dude's still like running strong and you probably can go back into the building and there's familiar faces everywhere.
Yeah, I think it's huge for a couple of reasons. First of all, every time we lose a game and somebody starts, Kirk Ferentz is not to go. It's time to fire Kirk, whatever. Like, first of all, get out of here. The sort of consistency and success that we've had. You can roll those dice and hope that you wind up with a Kurt Signetti. I think everybody wants that, but more often than not, you take a step back. And you most certainly would take a step back, I think, from Kirk, especially if you were to go outside of the program. The best thing about having Kirk there, I think, and his longevity and the fact that he has continued to run the ship the way that he has, the character, the consistency, the mentality, the workmanship of it, the focus, the academics, everything that goes on even outside of the football complex and off the field. I think such a big part of that is you do have guys. It's fun to be able to go back as a former player and still walk into that building and shake hands and tell stories. At that point, it's like, I've been there, I've seen this, I know this. We don't compromise on these things. So there's a level of continuity in that does breed success. It's more important to be consistent than it is to kind of have these flash in the pan moments. And Kirk is nothing if not consistent, and that filters down through the rest of the program into true consistency. And every time somebody who's an Iowa guy comes back into the building, I get pumped, because it's like, all right, we're just reloading, right? It's the same where we know what to expect. We know the level of detail that we're looking for. We know the work ethic that we're looking for. These things are well known and established.
You were a Iowa guy that got drafted in the NFL, and we had Nick Baumgartner on last week from The Athletic, and we were talking about the Iowa guys. This could be, now there's probably not a first rounder, but there's probably 7 or 8 Hawkeyes that are going to get drafted in April, which is maybe the most ever from a Kirk Ferentz team. And it was years ago. I won't say how many, but it was a few years ago that it was you. But you probably felt that too, didn't you? When you were getting ready for the NFL draft, was there a stigma is a bad word to use. Was there a lure of Iowa guys? And it's probably grown since then. Like Nick Baumgartner mentioned, like Iowa guys do well in the NFL, and the NFL knows that. Your thoughts on that whole Iowa guy in the NFL kind of thing?
Yeah, I think so. I could tell different stories, but my favorite one, because it's so quick and succinct and easy, is, and I heard this a dozen times, so it's not, this isn't something, and I know everybody else does. But we would go to, when we were like at the combine, right? And this one just at the combine. This was, when I was in Philadelphia. This was when when Stoutland and came in with Chip Kelly. This was when I was done in Philadelphia and I was looking for a new place. Like everywhere that you would go, but it started at the combine, was you would have these interviews with teams, and they would they'd be whether you were in a room with a bunch of guys or it was just you, like they'd be criticizing this thing or criticizing this guy or this thing, or asking guys about their off season stuff and about their off the field stuff and all these different things. And then you'd sit down, and the general sentiment was, you're an Iowa guy, you're a Kirk Ferentz guy, so I know I don't have to worry about you. And I think that was such a huge, that's it. Like I can quote, right, coaches that are like Hall of Fame level NFL coaches who are just like, you're a Kirk Ferentz guy, I know I don't have to worry about you, you're good. Like they just didn't, the problems that they have to worry about with other people, is he going to be a hard worker? Is he going to be detail oriented? Is he going to get in trouble in the off season? Right? Do I have to worry about this guy, besmirching the name of our program or whatever? They did not have those questions. And it just elevates where you can go, because it opens up all these opportunities that other people might not have because there's questions about them. And the last thing that people making multi-million-dollar decisions for NFL programs, that are supposed to reverberate through their organization for years, the last thing they want to do is have questions about whether or not this guy's gonna be a good fit for us from a cultural perspective and from an athletic perspective. And that culture piece of it is not a question with Iowa guys, right? It's just put on the film, see what you get, cool. Other than that, we know we don't have to worry about this guy.
Julian, I know you're an Eagles fan and guy and former player, but you've told me, I think in the past, that you just kind of gravitate towards teams that have a lot of Iowa players as well. Do you find yourself, like, obviously Cooper's with your Eagles and that's very cool, but Detroit Lions have a couple studs in Sam Laporta and Jack Campbell, but you gotta love that, don't you? Looking around the league and they're all over the place. Mason Richmond just won a Super Bowl championship. Like, that's cool to see. Do you still find yourself like locating and identifying Iowa guys?
100%. Even when, and this is the only team that I've ever like despised is the Cowboys. And even then, I think it was Chauncey Golston, right?
Yeah.
When they picked him up, I was like, okay, well, like, I guess I could watch a game and not, and not like, hate them quite as much. Like, I hope he has a good game. I hope he gets in there and is making some good plays. Like, that it is true. If I don't have some sort of emotional attachment in a game or something like that, it's always whichever team has more Hawkeyes on it. I would have loved, don't get me started on the Super Bowl, but the point is, I'm going to not go into it, but I'm
going to ask you. Hold on.
So the Patriots had no business being there. Let me just say that. If Bo Nix doesn't get hurt, the Broncos beat the Patriots by 3 touchdowns. All right, and we get the Broncos-Seahawks, which would have been a much better Super Bowl. And then you're also guaranteed that a Hawkeye gets a Super Bowl ring, because even if the Broncos win in that case, you got Riley Moss and stuff. Yeah. So that's where I am on the Super Bowl. It turned out the way that it should have, in my opinion. But it was great, because then I kind of did have a dog in the race too. So it was like, well, I have to root for the Seahawks because they got Mason. Like, yeah. I'm not gonna root against that.
You're right. The Patriots, I mean, they didn't beat anybody all year. I know that you don't make your schedule and all those kind of things, but let's just say my DraftKings account was right when it came to the Super Bowl. Julian Vandervelde joining us right now and off the air with Matt Randazzo. I want to wrap up football by just kind of talking about college football as a whole. Here we are, and everything's changing. It has changed. NIL, expansion of the playoffs. I think the fact that, what was it? Indiana won. Like, look at your Final Four. Indiana, yep. Oregon, Miami, and Ole Miss were your Final Four in football. So I think that's a plus of the changes. I think there's changes that, probably need to be corrected and maybe dialed down some, but, how are you with college football? Do you miss the days of, you develop a guy, he plays there 3 years, or do you love hearing the, announcer say, Oregon transfer, blah, 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 or, Ball State transfer, blah, blah, blah. Your thoughts on where college football, I know it's an open-ended question. You can go all over the place with it. But
is.
The state of college football, Julian Vandervelde, go.
We could do a whole show just on me ranting about the state of college football. I will say, and this is a knee-jerk reaction, right? I'm always open to changing my opinion if somebody presents me with a better argument. Right, I think that's important. I despise where college football is right now. Don't get me wrong. I love the fact that you can have, with the open transfer portal, the change in wins can happen so fast.
Yeah.
Right. I do think that the days of dynasties are over.
Sure.
I just don't think from year to year picking up, JUCO guys and 26-year-old college freshmen or whatever we have now with the new rules for JUCO not counting for, for college eligibility and stuff like that. Guys requesting extra years and injury seasons and all this other stuff. I think that it's not impossible, but it's very, very difficult now, more difficult than it was, to build a program that will sustain itself in the long term. Just because if somebody is in the old days, you get a 5-star guy, he comes in and he's not starting right away. Maybe he does sit and wait his turn. Now somebody's going to pay him $1 million to go to another program. He's going to make $1 million to start there, or he'll start there for a year and then somebody else will pay him $2 million, and it'll go like the money side of it is absolutely out of control. We can get into the transfer portal. I will keep it short because we could literally, like, you could you could just leave the camera on, you could go to bed, and I'll sit here for the next hour and break down everything that I think is right and wrong.
That might be
college football.
that might be a good addition to the show. I might like that. Go ahead.
We'll save it because we got other stuff to talk about. I don't like where college football is right now. I think there's interesting things about it, but I do think it's an absolute mess and a shit show. I'm sorry, I forget if I can swear on your show.
No, you're good. But I'll say this too: you can really, like, with all that being said, it makes what goes on in Iowa City even more impressive.
It does. It's more impressive and it's more important than ever. The fact that, like, the kinds of guys, because what I love about it is we haven't really changed much, right? Again, I would love it if we brought up a quarterback with Tim Lester,
which I think they're going to do that right now. I think either Hank Brown or gosh, why can't I move on? I can't think of the quarterback's name, and it's not even probably going to be Hecklinski, Jeremy Hecklinski.
Yes,
Hecklinski. It's going to be one of those. Here's what I love is Iowa doesn't go to the portal, and I know there's some fans who are like, go get the 5 stars, go get the flashy play. They are going and getting good players that have proven they're good at maybe a lesser level, but they're still going to develop. They're still going to, and the whole, like, that's what Iowa is. It used to be recruit, develop, win, and now it's recruit and hit the portal a little bit, but still develop and then win. I think that's the cool part about Iowa. They're not looking for quick fixes. The guys, I think the vast majority of the guys that they got out of the portal this year have 2 or 3 years left. And that's the beautiful thing. I wish we had another year with Mark Gronowski and all those kind of things. So I do like the fact they're doing that as well. So Julian Vandervelde joining me right now and off there with Matt Randazzo. Okay, so can you tell the story of your recruiting visit to Iowa City and how much food you ate?
Oh, this is a great transition. Listen, I know you're a professional.
It's going to explain what we're doing. It's going to help explain what we're doing, right?
If anybody ever wondered how good Matt Randazzo is at his job, right?
Look at that transition.
You could not have transitioned this any better. Okay. So the story is, and it's a true story, can confirm. Raphael Eubanks will confirm. Dace Richardson will confirm. All right, so we go for the recruiting visit, and I had a broken foot at the time, and they take you out to what was, I think it was, I forget if it was still Lone Star, it was something else at the time.
The stories I've heard is Lone Star. That makes remember.
I couldn't remember if it had like a different name then, but I think you're right.
A steakhouse. A steakhouse.
Steakhouse, yes. Think Texas Roadhouse, Lone Star, that sort of place, right? Same vibe.
Yes.
And they basically say get whatever you want. And I took that so literally, so seriously. I was like, I may never get a chance like this again. This is incredible. Let's knock it out, right? Did not think about the company I was with or the impression I was trying to make. Just said, I'm a hungry guy. Let's get after it. And people, I'm sure that others would be able to correct me, but what I know is I definitely had at least, I think it was 2 plates of cheese fries, of the bacon cheese fries. I had the potato skins, so appetizers, right? We're on appetizers.
A lot of potatoes. Go ahead.
A lot of potatoes. I think there were some wings in there too. I got a steak. I got ribs. So we did, but like a full rack of ribs and a steak, right? So we did all of that. Got a dessert, of course, whatever their like big brownie sundae like dessert thing is. Had that, and then the part that not everybody else knows is that then we went back to Ralph Eubanks's dorm room and ordered 2 extra large pizzas from Pagliai's, and I ate one of those myself.
Oh my god!
The other guys ate the other. So it was quite a night of consumption, and at no point in time do I remember feeling full during that entire thing.
Now, mind you, I remember like. So that's the start for me when it comes to. I've been to your place for grill outs. You set WQD on fire with the grill back in the day. But you've had cooking shows that are delicious. And so I love throwing things against the wall. And I'm like, I love doing interviews, but I want to do more. We go out on locations and do shows from football stadiums. But I'm like, I want to do something food wise. People love food. And you're the first guy that popped in my mind. So what we are going to do is, and right now we're calling it Julian Eats maybe, but we're going to fine tune the name, but kind of explain people what we kind of we're going to start this in a few weeks, but we want to highlight the best food in the Quad Cities. Go ahead. I'll let you kind of explain a little more.
So kind of like Quad Cities food in general, I think is underrated. I think we have a very underrated food scene. And who better to highlight that than you and me?
Yes.
So we're there's gonna be a lot of different stuff that we want to do. To your point, we haven't quite gotten the name yet. I don't know if Pat would get mad if we called it Julian Eats. It's a little bit of a spin-off of Anger Eats. It's fine.
That makes sense. He doesn't.
But
that guy's so dumb he probably wouldn't even have figured it out. Come on. What are we talking about?
Mary will tell him. We'll massage the name out.
I didn't even think about that until you just said that. I didn't even put that together. But go on.
This is where we got to massage the name out. But what we're going to do is we're going to essentially do our best to highlight the Quad Cities food scene, right? Places that are that have been in the Quad Cities for decades, right? The most iconic locations that are still open, places that are brand new. Whether it's a new kind of food, a new category, whether it's just a fresh new restaurant that's opened up. We're going to go to places that are scenic and places that are seedy. We're going to go around town. We're tossing stuff out there, like doing, a breakfast, lunch, and dinner sort of thing, like your whole day. Places that are iconic and places that are holes in the wall that nobody knows about, and taking fan suggestions for places that you think are the best hidden gems in the Quad Cities, or just your favorite place that when you're in a foul mood, this place will cheer you up. This food, you got to go to this place and you got to try this dish, right? Those sorts of things. And we're gonna pepper ourselves around the Quad Cities, all the way up and down the Mississippi here on both sides of the river, and we're gonna try and show off a little bit of what the Quad Cities can really do when it comes to food.
I love every part about it, and I love the fact that here's what I think is gonna happen, because when we think about food, when we could do it more often, when we had lives, you would introduce me to all these different places, and so you're kind of the what's new, and then I'm that old grumpy guy that's like, I love my traditional so I think we could do a little mix of the both. So what we want from people, and we're going to put this up on social media, give us suggestions. It can be new places in the Quad Cities, and there's a bunch of good ones. I just tried Enzo's Chicken for the first time this weekend. It was really, really good. There's Al's Burgers. There's so many different places new wise. Or if there's an old school, traditional restaurant that just hits every time, all suggestions are welcome. And in the next couple weeks, Julie and I are going to shift through them. We're going to shift through our schedules, and we're going to start knocking this out. And we'll have maybe a weekly segment, maybe a monthly. Depends what our schedules allow. We got to figure it all out. But we'll start airing some of these during the shows as we go through the weeks and months and years as we continue to become famous and everything else. So I love it. Do you have any? You don't have to say anything. Do you have any thoughts for our first one?
I was hoping to find, and I'm hoping maybe one of you can help us.
Yes.
I was hoping to find the oldest restaurant, the longest running restaurant in the Quad City. I know on the Iowa side, Frick's Tavern, I think, is the second oldest bar in Iowa, and they do serve food.
Okay.
The Quad Cities is so much more than just, and I'm going to say this, Davenport, Bettendorf, Moline, and Rock Island. I know it's Davenport, Rock Island, Moline, and East Moline. Stop. All right. I know it's more than that. I mean, we're talking Silvis and LeClaire. We'll go both sides of the river. We'll go up and down. Yeah. All right. But that's my initial thought, was the longest running continuously operated restaurant in the Quad Cities would be a gem to start with, to see what is it that that gives them that staying power.
All right. Well, that's the homework assignment. We'll get it up on my social media. Julian will put it on some of his as well. That's the assignment. Give us your feedback. In the next couple of weeks, we're going to figure it all out. And then whatever the name, we got to come up with a better name. Now that Julian, I'm not kidding you. I didn't even put together the eats thing. I didn't even put that together until you just said it. And I've said it like 10 times. So, no, that's probably why it like stuck in my head. Anyways, I can't wait to do this. I think it's going to be like diners, drive-ins, and dives, but with you and me. It's going to be so much fun. Absolutely. And I'm just going to be along for the ride. I'll eat, but like you're the expert. I think we're going to have a blast. I can't wait. Thanks for doing this. I appreciate you.
Anytime. I mean, listen, literally anytime you need filler, all right, you give me a holler. And if somebody important drops out, right, if Brock Harding can't make it or something, you can give me a holler.
Off the air with Daz and Julian? Like we could just make it we could just go with it. Right? Hey, I don't know if I could. No. I can't afford myself right now, more or less, 2 people, but we'll see what happens. So, hey man, I appreciate it. We'll catch up soon. Again, get to social media and let us know the best places. But right now, the homework assignment is the oldest restaurant running in the Quad Cities. We want to go feature that maybe first. So, thanks, brother. I appreciate you. We'll catch up soon.
Love you, buddy.
All right.
See you around.
Julian Vandervelde, former Iowa Hawkeye, former Davenport Central Blue Devil, and of course former Eagle as well. We're gonna start it's gonna be so much fun. I'm hungry right now just thinking about it. So we got much more to get to. You're watching OTA on a Wednesday right here in the Quad Cities. We'll be right back.
Give me the keys. Learning to drive can be stressful for both the student and, yes, the parent as well. Relax. There's an easy way to avoid the stress. Skiles Driving School in East Moline has been helping new drivers hit the road with confidence for over 20 years. Whether you're a teen earning your first license or an adult looking for behind-the-wheel training, we've got you covered. Their certified instructors are patient, experienced, and use modern vehicles equipped for safety and comfort. From classroom instruction to real-world driving, we make learning safe, affordable, and even fun. Call 309-278-0098 or visit skylesdriving.com. Skiles Driving School. Get in, buckle up, drive your future forward.
Welcome back to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo here on a Wednesday in the Quad Cities. We've been talking a good amount of high school basketball these days, and rightfully so. The postseason is upon us. It's that February frenzy. I used to always call it back in the newsroom. Everyone talks March Madness, and rightfully so. High school-wise, it's almost that February frenzy. Yesterday on the show, we talked with Lexi DeMott, a second-year head coach at Galesburg, doing great things with the Silver Streaks. They're having a great season down in Mediapolis for the girls as well. This young man is not in his second season as the head coach anywhere. Todd Borrison joins me right now and Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. How are you, young man? Good to see you.
It's good to see you. Good to be on the show. Doing great. Having a great year. Great kids. It's been a lot of fun.
I love it. I love it. I want to talk to you about, before we get to your team and everything, we're going to say 30 plus years. We talked before we did this, and 33, 34. Counting is hard. Math is hard. Somewhere in those area. When you hear that and you think that many years, what comes to your mind when you hear how long you've been getting to do obviously what you love?
We talk about it a lot because my son Cade has been on my staff, and actually we're co-coaching a lot right now, and he's been with me for 7 seasons already. And, it goes really fast, but it's still a lot of fun and as much fun now as it's ever been. So I really look forward to it, but it really makes you sit back and think how fast time really does fly.
No, absolutely. Coach, you look at the success you've had. We'll talk about MIPO here in a second, but state championships at Preston, You run it at Assumption State Championship there. And I in the world of what I get to do, like everyone tells me, man, kids are different. Like are kids different going back 30 some years ago and now? I always tell people, like, kids are kids and they're good kids. Things are different. I think we're different. Society's different. I don't know if kids are different. Your thoughts on go back 30 some years ago and now? What's different about what you get to do?
Well, I think there's still a lot of similarities. I mean, like, our kids that we have in our program, man, they love basketball. They come in and they work. We just had a pep assembly the other day, and I said my favorite stat of the year is we just finished our 61st practice, and we had 61 good practices. And I don't care if that's 1990, 2000, or now. I feel like the kids in our program are really good kids, and they want to be coached. I think the difference is, our kids grow up with the internet now and all that stuff and their devices, and that's different. But, we all had our things that we did along to when we grew up.
Yeah.
And would we have been any different if we'd have grown up in that era with the internet and all that? We probably wouldn't have. We'd have been doing exactly what they're doing. I think there's more challenges for kids now. I think there's more things for them to do without being active or being social. But I think as teachers and educators and parents, we need to keep pushing them in that area because I think it's really healthy for them. But all in all, I think kids are still kids and they want discipline, and I think kids want to be appreciated.
Todd Borrison joining us right now and off there with Matt Randazzo. Down in Meepo, you guys are 21-0 and having a great season. What is it about this group that you like? And maybe when did you start realizing that this was a fun group, an undefeated team type of a group? When did it start clicking for this team?
Well, to be real honest, this group in 8th grade was doing some things we really liked, and we knew that they were coming to a lot of the camps, and so we had our eye on this group for a long time. And we're senior heavy, but we just looked at this the other day. This group of seniors is 81-11 since they arrived in 9th grade.
Wow!
And 3 conference championships in there and a couple regional finals. We just haven't been able to open the door to go to Des Moines, but we're hoping that maybe that changes. And we're all guards. We have no post. So it's a style we love to teach, and it's kind of what I think we do well. We play up tempo, we press nonstop, and we try to create advantages for our strengths, which is our athleticism and our ability to play 90 feet. Now, there's been games where you want to limit your time you're playing half-court defense with our lack of size, but those are games that usually have a style contrast, and you just hope that you get the most out of what you do well. And so far, we've been able to do that, and there's going to be some challenges coming up. But the group really shares the ball. They really pass the ball. We've got 3 or 4 kids that can handle, and we lead the entire state in 3-pointers. And so we're a pretty fun group to watch. It's a fun style to play, and they've really bought in.
Coach, you look at this team on the court and what they can do. Every team needs that chemistry. You talked to 8th grade, this group. I'm assuming a close group. Seniors have experienced a lot. What do you see from that? Because as you know, success isn't always what you see on the court. It's got to happen chemistry-wise and all those cliches. What kind of group of young ladies is it maybe off the floor as well?
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head there. And we were just talking about this yesterday. These are the volleyball kids. They're our state champion dancers. They run the yearbook club. They are on prom committee. They're on the student committees. They're the kids that have taken a great interest in everything at Mediapolis. Just really, really down to earth kids that have got great work ethics, and they understand time management and those things. And those kind of kids are going to find a way to be successful.
Coach, you mentioned getting to Des Moines and breaking that door down, and you look at 3A and you're like, congratulations, you're in 3A. It's loaded, especially on this side of the state. We've talked with Coach Specht here on the show from Macoken and what they're doing, and Wahlert and Williamsburg and there's so many good teams in this area. Can you talk about 3A? Because, I mean, and I probably could do it with most classes. I don't want to disparage other classes, but man, when you look at 3A, you're undefeated and a 9th state ranking. most undefeated teams probably aren't ninth. They're probably fifth, fourth, third. It's really good in 3A, isn't it?
It is good. And part of that is our league's been really good. But our league is made up of 1A, 2A, and 3A schools. And we don't have a ton of wiggle room with our schedule. And like we've been playing in the Iowa-Illinois shootout. We couldn't even do that this year because we really needed to play in the rivalry Saturday. We got invited to play because they kind of start stacking up teams and they want to see, just where you're at the beginning of the year. And we took on that, and we took on Tipton and got a great win early against Tipton. And so we kind of got the respect of the state. And so now our schedule, I think, in the eyes of the state is not as good as, like what Maquoketa is playing, what Williamsburg is playing. And I would agree with that. We know that, but we just don't have a lot of wiggle room with the size of our conference. But yeah, in Eastern Iowa, Maquoketa, go to state in 4A, drop to 3A with all their kids back. They've done an incredible job up there. And they've got a few losses, but their schedule's been murderer's row. And we're all aware of that. And Williamsburg's the same way. Mount Vernon, Wahlert plays in primarily a 5A league. It's just really good basketball across the board. And so we know, we have a lot of people that, we should be higher. But there's not, even in the rankings, there's not a lot of wiggle room. And we're proud of being 9 and being undefeated. And we feel like we can play with anybody, but also we're very respectful of what everybody else in Eastern Iowa can do as well. And we know that those are really great teams.
Coach, you mentioned wiggle room, and that's one thing when it comes to the Iowa side of the river that I get frustrated with. And it goes kind of back to like the holidays and the shutdown for 2 weeks or whatever it is. So, and I understand celebrating the holidays and all those kind of things. I think the Illinois side probably does a little too much around the holidays where they're playing at every shootout and a ton. But what is, you play 22 games? Is that it? 21, 22?
21 regular season.
21. I feel like in the span of when you're starting in November and you're ending in February, late February, that you could probably get more than 21 games in. Do you feel as head coach, is 21 the right number? You mentioned flexibility and getting outside your league to see a little more what you can do. Is there a happy median between, I think it's 30 or 32 that the Illinois side can do and the 21 that the state of Iowa allows?
Yeah, I'm one of those Iowa guys that have for years thought, give us 1 or 2 tournaments, even like maybe like 2 dates where you can go play 2 games, maybe a possibility of 4 more games. And then you could dabble with some of that non-conference stuff, look at some of different opponents. I think that would really be, at least to have the possibility of picking up a few more games. And maybe a tournament here or there would be fun for the kids. We have a 4, and there's a lot of practicing. And a few more games here and there, I think would help the popularity of the game, which we're fighting right now too, and numbers. Let's go play a few more games, maybe a few less practices. I don't think would be a bad idea. We're practicing quite a bit over Christmas break as it is. To throw give us one holiday tournament, I think would be a really popular thing across the state, and a way to get a little, like we talked about, wiggle room into picking up a couple other games.
No, I completely agree. It's funny. I hear so many controlled scrimmages where there's referees and they turn the lights on and all that kind of stuff. It's like, well, if you're going to do all those kind of things over Christmas, just make it count if you go into that level as well. Coach, you mentioned the popularity of the game. Women's basketball, girls basketball, I've always enjoyed the heck out of it, covering it. So when it got popular, when Caitlin Clark came along, and it wasn't just Caitlin Clark, but when they had that boom, I was like, well, they didn't just go good overnight. The basketball's been good. You're just now seeing it at a higher level. And you look at the WNBA and women's college basketball, but we've talked with Coach Specht and Coach O'Brien's been on here and on the Illinois side as well. And numbers are down. Coach Hatch talked about it, I believe, with Riverdale. Numbers are down at most places. I think 33%, 30% in the state of Iowa or something like that. Why is that? It seems crazy to me. Do you have a thought process on why such a good game at maybe the higher levels, it's struggling? I'm sure you have a thought process on it.
Well, I do, and I agree with you. I think I think the popularity of women's basketball and girls basketball at the college WNBA level is insane. I think, and I think Caitlin did have a huge part of it. And I know, like, the people I teach with and coach with here, they mark their calendars on when Iowa women play. Now that wasn't happening 6 years ago.
Hey, Coach, I'll hop in real fast. And I track my numbers on this show, what resonates, what doesn't, all that kind of stuff. Iowa women's basketball. I'll say this, like we did Iowa men's basketball and Iowa women's basketball back-to-back days, live shows in Cover Hawkeye. The women's show did 4 times better number-wise than the men's show. They both did great, but women's basketball resonates, especially when it comes to the Iowa Hawkeye women. Go ahead.
Yeah, I agree. And I just, so then the $1 million question is, with the popularity of that, is it maybe going down into the deep youth? Our youth numbers are really high. Our high school number, and that leads our conference, us and Central League of Donaldson. So our numbers around the league are not good. We fight to get JV games, and everybody can pinpoint club volleyball, and I'm not necessarily going there. Like my volleyball coach and I, we have a good rapport. We share the kids at different times, and it's a good working relationship. We know that we need each other. I learned a long, long time ago, volleyball was not going to be the fight that I fight. And I think one thing, and a lot of people will disagree with this, but when do we get to play basketball games? In June and July, when we can get out on the road and play, and we do that. And that's our time to go get better. Half our kids play softball, so we don't get those kids. So maybe 4 or 5 ninth graders that are in our program say, oh, I'm okay missing those games. I'll get to the open gyms. Year 2 is softball. Now they're missing 30, 40 games to 2 years. And all of a sudden, our stats show that we lose a handful of those kids because they get to their junior year and say, I've just missed so much summer basketball. I'm not keeping up with the other kids. We're the only state that plays summer softball. Yeah. And I know that the springs are crazy. I don't know if that's the answer, but I think that's one area. And and now dance is popular with kids. We have wrestling for kids, and all of that basketball season is. And then the other thing that I think that really factors in, your jumps, your progressions in basketball are slow. They're minute at times. It takes a lot of hours, a lot of time, a lot of games. It's a mixture of a lot of things. It's hard to specialize in basketball. If you're not good at one area of the game, you can be exploited. Volleyball, you can be a setter, back row player, libero, a hitter, and kids can specialize a little bit more. Basketball is a different animal, and I think that when it comes to push or shove, the kids say, this is the one that is the hardest, and I'm going to bail on it. And again, everyone's got an opinion, and I think it's a lot of things that make up what's going on. But it is mind-boggling that our numbers have dropped the way they have.
Yeah, especially with the popularity of what's on TV, which is another thing, too, is the women's basketball is on television way more than it ever was before, which is an awesome thing as well. Todd Borrison joining me right now on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. Coach, what's your message to your girls as this time of year comes along? You mentioned undefeated. You mentioned it's a special group, a lot of seniors. There's a lot of lasts, whether it's senior nights and all those kind of things. And it's another opportunity to start that road to hopefully Des Moines. Do you have a message to the girls? Do you let them, want it to get too big, but you want them to enjoy it? What's the message, I guess, to your team right now?
We always talk about play hard as hard as you can play, have fun. And this is all part of the journey. And let's see what chapter we can add. And not name drop a little. I learned this from Randy Norton. Our kids this time of year ain't getting a whole lot better. Keep them fresh. Keep them enthusiastic, and get them to go out and play as hard as they can play for 32 minutes.
That's a good plan. Coach, before I let you go, I got some fun questions I always do for people. I guess let's start with some food. Favorite food. Is there a celebratory meal that you have after a game, or if you're going to get dinner, you're going to take the family out to dinner? What's the click food wise for the Borsons?
Well, it's either got to be Godfather's Pizza, or there's a place in Mount Pleasant. They have great wings. It's called the Press Box. Those are our go-to.
I love it. But Godfather's in the Quad Cities here is a proud sponsor of Off the Air. So I love.
Awesome.
Well said. Well, thank you for the sponsor plug, Coach. I appreciate that.
Anytime.
If you could have dinner with one person ever, who would it be and why?
Wow, that is a tough one. Wow.
This isn't an easy softball interview anymore, Coach. I'm asking the tough questions.
Yeah, this one is a tough one. Well, I suppose, Jesus.
It's always a good answer.
Yeah, well, I think if sit down for a good dinner and I can't even begin to think of all the questions I would love to ask.
Be a long dinner. Hopefully a long dinner is what I would always say.
Yes.
Coach, are you superstitious? And if so, how?
Yeah, I've tried to not be so superstitious, but there's still a few things that I got to hang my hat on and I have to do, or it just doesn't work. So
are you going to tell us any of them?
Yeah, one is the state championship ring from Preston. That has to be on every game. It's the only time we wear it. I got to have that on. I try to wear as much black as possible. I got to be heavy on the black. I always have to pray during the national anthem. And if it's a quad and they do the national anthem during the boys' game, I got to get my prayer in then. And a routine I have to do with the scouting report for every game with the kids in the locker room is not changed in 30 plus years.
Wow. So you're not a little superstitious. You're a lot superstitious. I love that. I'm the same way, unfortunately. Last one for you. I know you mentioned these girls and they're good chemistry, good group, all those kind of things. Every group needs a goofy, a class clown in a good way. Do you have one or two of those on your team, Coach?
Yeah, we've got two wild personalities, and they're both great players. But one is young lady. She gets after. Her name's Ella Wagenbach, and then the other one is it's on the court. She's just a crazy, all over the place, real emotional kid, and we kind of feed off her defense, and that's Amelia Greer. But they both bring a lot of energy, a lot of passion, and we're never quite sure what emotions they're going to bring to the table, but it's always something we try to feed off of.
I love it. Coach, I've enjoyed the conversation. Best of luck. It never changes. Postseason is the postseason. It's always a bunch of fun. Do well, get to state, and hopefully we can catch up with you again soon. I appreciate it, my friend.
Appreciate it, Matt. Thanks for having me on.
You bet.
Really do.
Todd Borrison, the girls basketball coach at Mediapolis right now, and his resume speaks for itself. And wanted to talk to him about Mediapolis, but I love talking big picture stuff when it comes to, shortage of, the declining numbers, I guess is the best way to put it, in girls basketball and everything else in between. So a great conversation with Todd Borrison. We got more to get to. You're watching OTA on a Wednesday right here in the Quad Cities. We'll be right back.
Hello, Dan Pearson here of FCA. Our team is thrilled to support Off the Air with our good friend Matt Randazzo. We share the view of the power of sport when it comes to relationships, including the influence of the coach. FCA believes the coach is the most influential person in America. Matt celebrates local coaches and athletes. His content is informational, insightful, and inspirational. Our Fellowship of Christian Athlete team loves partnering with Off the Air with Matt Randazzo while we engage, equip, and empower coaches and athletes in our 23 counties. FCA, the heart and soul in sports.
View from the West, the podcast covering Illinois high school football.
It's going to be a hard-hitting game. It's going to be great football.
Weekly analysis and reaction from around the western side of the state of Illinois.
This is the game we had circled when the year started.
Follow along on YouTube and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts.
It's big-time football out there tonight, and I know we can play big-time football.
View from the West. We got you covered.
Are you looking for the Quad City's best chips and salsa? There's only one dude to turn to.
Right on.
Snoop. Hand-cut chips, fried fresh with that crunch you've come to love. And the most addicting salsa with delicious fresh ingredients each and every time. Pick up your chips and salsa, queso, enchiladas, and much more at the Stern Center in Rock Island. To place your order, simply call the man himself. It's Snoop at 309-314-8197 and find out for yourself what the rest of the Quad Cities already loves. Welcome back to Off Day with Matt Randazzo here on a Wednesday in the Quad Cities, Hump Day, as we are now, well, I am at least, over halfway through my work week, which is a beautiful thing. Fun show here on Off the Air. We started things off talking about a crazy Tuesday night in college basketball. We talked about the Illini, their loss, why they lost, factors into it, injuries, missed free throws. We played for you Brad Underwood and his thoughts on the referees as well. I'm on board on Saturday night at Michigan State. I didn't feel like the referees, while there were some bad calls, were the number one reason that Illinois lost last night. So anyways, we talked about that. We talked about Iowa State, their loss to TCU, a big victory for the Horned Frogs, for Brock Harding, former Moline standout and company. They look better now when it comes to the NCAA tournament. 15 wins, some quality wins. They're playing in a great league. So good for them. Bad for Iowa State. They start a stretch. They host Kansas on Saturday. They host Houston on Monday. And then they turn around and go to BYU. So a tough stretch for the Cyclones. We talked with Jake Brend. We can go back and check that out right now. Great conversation with Julian Vandervelde. We wanted to get his thoughts on Iowa football, NFL draft coming up, linemen and offensive linemen in the NFL from Iowa, all those kind of things was great. Julian and I are starting a new segment in the very near future here on the show. We want to highlight food places around the state, around our area. So whether it's an old standby you love or whether it's, a new place that you want us to check out, we're going to start shooting some of those in the next few weeks. So we need your impact. We need your input, I should say. So get on social media. Let us know where to head, all of those kind of things. Really, really excited about it. I think it's going to be a bunch of fun. So Julian on the show, if you missed it, go back and check it out. Always charismatic, always a bunch of fun. And then we just wrapped up with Todd Borrison, the head coach down at Mediapolis. The Bulldogs 21-0, ranked 9th in 3A. 3A is loaded. A lot of good teams in 3A. So the postseason, it's here basically. Check out Todd Borrison if you missed that. Also, his thought on the state of girls basketball in the state of Iowa, because numbers are down around the entire state, which is crazy considering the popularity of Iowa women's basketball, Iowa State women's basketball, Drake, Northern Iowa, WNBA, Caitlin Clark. It's surprising it's down. We talk about that as well. So go check that out if you can. It was a bunch of fun talking with a three-time state champion when it comes to Assumption, and two of them at Preston High School back in the day as well. So great catching up with him. Tomorrow coming up on the show, we're going to chat with Nesto Hoops. Really excited about that. Really excited to get to chat a little bit with Aaron Britton and find out where our local teams stand as the postseason approaches quickly. It's right around the corner. So really excited about that. We're also going to hopefully catch up with the Central DeWitt girls. They clinched the MAC. Ava Putnam, recently a 1,000-point scorer. Hopefully we catch up with them tomorrow as well. We'll get you caught up on the Iowa basketball game from tonight, tomorrow, whether it's Nicholas Baer or Tom Kakert or both or John Bonenkamp. We will talk Hawkeyes and what we hope is maybe another Iowa victory out in Maryland. All that, much, much more. Dan Birch later this week as well. So a lot more to get to. We'll have it all covered right here on Off the Air. Thank you guys so much for watching a Wednesday edition of the show. We'll be back with a brand new episode coming up tomorrow. We'll see you then.